Of the best thing about being a civilian is getting a good night's sleep. As all of you know, I was once a soldier. I was in the military service for about 19 years. It is not easy for a soldier to sleep soundly at night. We need to be alert. You are with a man with a gun. Some are your fellow soldiers, as well as some are your enemies, and perhaps some civilians who do not trust you. So you can imagine how it is challenging for being a soldier. There is no life as tough as that of soldiers in Myanmar. So we need to be alert at all times, even in our sleeping time at night. Now, as a civilian, I am asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. So in my life, I have had the opportunity to serve in the two largest institutions in Myanmar, the military and the civil service. Both have provided me with a lot of experience and also a lot of skill and a lot of lessons in my life and leadership. So allow me to start with my military service, how it was. Actually, I have a lot of lessons learned in the military service. I just want to highlight two important lessons just to share you. In military service, the first lesson I learned was the need to be resourceful to overcome challenges and unforeseen circumstances. It was in 1985. I was at that time a platoon commander. I was in the remote battlefield of Shan State. We were at the time fighting communist insurgency in the northeastern part of Myanmar. So one day, our supply lines were cut off, and we had absolutely nothing to eat. And after foraging around, we couldn't find anything to eat, which is edible. But there are some green grass around us, which looks so fresh. And eventually, we decided to try chewing them. And surprisingly, it's quite tasty, but a bit hurt. Therefore, we decided to try frying it, and the taste is even better. When I was in military service, it was in number 101 Light Infantry Regiment. The name of my company is Lion Company. We call ourselves as Lion. In Myanmar, there is a saying that lion never eat grass. My soldiers told me that we are lion, but lion from the LIR 101 eat grass as well. This is my story. The lessons I learned from that incident is you need to be resourceful to overcome challenges and unforeseen circumstances. Second lesson I was learned in my military service is resilience. That shapes your character and your ability to handle difficult situations and challenges. My vivid, memorable story is that I was together among the dead body of my fallen soldiers. It teaches me to appreciate life and to build ability to overcome the challenges and also unforeseen circumstances. Those are two important lessons I learned when I was in the military service. And when I moved to civil service, I found that there are some parallels and differences. Civil service is a very large organization, institution in Myanmar. You have to work with a lot of people in the government, different government departments. Each and every civil service has their own priorities, their own issues and their own motivation. Some staff are very good, very smart, very talented, very efficient. But some can be focused on their own function without thinking about coordination and teamwork. This is what is different between the military service and civil service. And in civil service, there are layers and layers required to make decisions. So each and every civil service think that decisions are important, but they are not life and death situation for them. So they take time and they work everything on their own pace. So in Myanmar, they're saying that it takes a long time to move a mountain. But my experience when I first arrived to civil service is also still very difficult to move the mountain, because mountains of files to move from one table to another challenge for me when I first arrived in the civil service. In military, there is very clear chain of command and ranks. There is coordination, there is teamwork. If you can do more means, your peers will worry less to achieve a common goal. But civil service, the different way of thinking for that. So compared to those two institutions, military has very systematic coordination and teamwork, and civil service is focused more on the skill and proficiency of their role. This is differences between civil service and military. When I first moved to civil service, and then after a few years later, I have been appointed as a Director-General of this position, Directorate of Investment and Company Administration. In short, we call DICA. Probably all of the people here in this room already heard about my office, DICA. DICA is a government organization which handles investment and company administration. So now let me show you how the procedures are different. When I was appointed as the DG of this department, it took about 4 to 6 months to get a company to be registered in my office because of the efficiency and also because of lack of the permission to make a decision. This is what I just want to explain you that. If there is an applicant come to our office for company registration, the case will be handled by the deputy staff officer. He or she checked all the file and sign off and put it to the staff officer. Then staff officer check and sign off and pass it on to the assistant director, then to deputy director, and to director, and to deputy director general, and to me. It's not completed. I have to put up this issue to the Ministerial Executive Committee meeting for first approval, not final approval. Then those cases will go to the Trade Council meeting, which we need second approval. Then all those cases need to be submitted to the cabinet meeting for final approval. That took about 4 to 6 months to complete the process. So when I first came to my office, there were mountains of files on my table waiting for me. So I was so surprised. And I look at all those files, and they seek my approval for name check of a company. So I was so surprised, and I asked all of my staff, why those files are on my table? They told me that the company name must be approved by you, DG. You must approve it, otherwise we cannot do anything. Okay, so I signed off all files the first day. And second day, when I came to my office, again, those are a lot of files on my table, and I thought there's something wrong. It's not that efficient to go sign. It took about an hour or sometimes 2 hours to sign off all those files on my table. This is useless of my time, so that I decided to ask all of my officers to be with me, and I asked them, okay, from now on, you don't need to put up those all 5 on my table. I set the benchmark. For example, for staff officer, you can complete all name check process. This is your responsibility. You don't need to ask any permission or any approval from assistant director. This is your role. You can decide everything by yourself. This is not that important. We have database. We can easily check whether there is a similar name or same name for company registration. And then I set another benchmark to assistant director and to deputy director and all layers of my bureaucracy. And then I thought I had resolved the problems, and they will do that. But the next day when I came to my office, same mountains of files are on my table again. I was so angry and I was so surprised as well. Therefore, I asked all of the officers to my room again, and I raised the question, the reason why you didn't comply with my instruction yesterday. They told me that we didn't dare enough to make our own decision, because if there is some problems, we have to take all responsibility for our own decision. So I understood the situation, and I told my staff that, okay, from now on, just do it as I told you yesterday. If there is any problem, I will face with superiors. I will take blame on it. And also, even if you make some mistake, no worry for that. I will take all responsibility for that. Just do it what I suggested to you yesterday. Then everything is going well. And also nowadays, it took only 3 days to complete a company registration. So you can see how the situations are changing. So the lesson I learned from the civil service is delegating the power to the staff. But we also need to consider to back up them, for them to feel safe enough to make decisions and learn their own mistake. And no minister, this is important. In Myanmar society, like as the Asian neighbors, it's very hierarchical. We're quite reluctant to questions to our elders, and we are quite reluctant to say no to the superior. So I was lucky, I have to say that. Empowerment is the key. I have a lot of bosses and mentors in my life. Most of them allow me to make my own decision, and also they make me also encourage to do whatever you think fit and you think suitable for me and for the team. Once my minister was a minister of the one ministry, and we worked together for a couple of years, and then he moved to another ministry, and he realized that he was surrounded by the yes men. Because the officials in that ministry, most of the officials in that ministry didn't dare to say no to the minister, and didn't say anything, no, but they always said yes to the minister asked and minister suggested to them. Then my minister feel unhappy and he feel really insecure, so he requested me to transfer to his office to say no, whatever which is not practical, which is not pragmatic, and which is not good for the ministry. Just say me no. No minister is not a good idea. No minister is not possible. So I was encouraged, the way I was encouraged by my minister to say no. And also, the event in Myanmar society, the people are quite reluctant still to say no to the minister. But for a leader, this is very important to get the very right information and also right opinion and suggestions from the staff. Otherwise, the decision would be wrong. So this is my lesson learned in dealing with my superior and encourage me to say no. Therefore, to sum up my discussion this morning, lesson 1 from my military service and from my civil service. Number 1 is respecting authority and having autonomy to think and to say what you believe. Number 2, having courage to say and do things, but be responsible for your action. Number 3 is delegating responsibility to others, but empowering them to act. Thank you.